Welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show. I'm Domonique Foxworth, and I'm joined, as always, by my buddy and producer and co-host, Charlie Kravitz. We're going to have a good time today because now we get to predict stuff. I'm looking forward to curveballs because I know you got some curveballs coming, but as we approach the NFL regular season, we are contractually obligated to an awards prediction pod. So we get to say awards. We get to predict awards for the coming season. Hopefully, Brian edited out all of that foolishness that you just said. Let's get to some fun. So I was looking at these awards, and I realized that there's a couple things that jump out to me. One, we move past counting stats in a lot of ways, not in awards. It matters a lot when you're trying to go through all the potential people that could win awards and most likely to win awards. You look back at previous winners, and obviously counting stats matters a lot. And then I also realized what we already know is like MVP, quarterback award. I never really gave much thought to the fact that a bunch of the other awards are also like just position awards in some ways. Like, yeah, the defensive player of the year, almost always pass rusher award, right? Mm-hmm. And the offensive player of the year is almost always a receiver award. Occasionally, and more often than you would expect recently, like we had two running backs win it recently, but
Saquon Barkley
and CMC won it not too long ago. And he was a runner-up last year. He was close last year behind JSN. CMC was. But anyway, it's really just a receiver award. Coach of the Year award is like new coach guy.
What would have to happen for Vrabel to win Coach of the Year this year?
There's nothing he could do. I mean, he undefeated, right? That's it.
16-1 doesn't get it done.
It will be his third Coach of the Year.
You know, he's lost one vote.
Well, it will be his third Coach of the Year, which Kevin Stefanski has two also, I think.
So which is funny. McVay has one. Stefanski and Vrabel.
That's right. Like, Coach of the Year is not actually about like the best coaches, right? We recognize that. It's like a new coach whose team played better. It's really just like team did better than we expected.
How many like bed and breakfast stays would you have to book to win Coach of the Year? How many fingies would have to be intertwined?
Oh man, I'll leave this up to Brian's discretion.
It's a legitimate.
It's not
journalistic
a legitimate question. It is actually the opposite.
Disagree. Journalism. Give me a Murrow Award. Speaking of awards, let's start
with a thumbs down award.
Let's start with the first award. Let's go MVP, and I want to hear your pick. And if you thought about any long shots, additional people.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously we talked about already. It's a quarterback award, so I'm not even going to pretend that anyone else could win that award. It's the murderer's row, like the big three right now, or big four, I guess, if you include Burrow. Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, and Jackson, right? Yeah, that's all of them. I don't see Lamar could have a resurgence off of last year and have a big season and put up big numbers in this Ben Johnson-esque Declan Doyle offense, which could be the case. I think Josh Allen obviously could put up big numbers, but the story there is going to be about Joe Brady, and I guess Jesse Minter in Baltimore also could be the case. Mahomes actually has a real chance, I think, because the expectations are so low, and I think he could demonstrate, and he hasn't had a successful season in a while. He could demonstrate that he is still really great if the receivers stay healthy. The O-line
how exciting would that be? Because if you're saying Mahomes, that means he's actually playing like 2022 and prior Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna resist the urge to say narrative award as much as possible, but it doesn't.
I was
matter.
going play style more narrative.
No,
I want to see him play that way.
I get that. I 100% believe that he can play that way and put those numbers up. But I think ultimately when you're making those decisions, because it's hard to. When there are multiple guys having great seasons, it's hard to differentiate. Mm-hmm. And then the story is when it becomes a differentiating factor. It's not like who threw one more touchdown or who threw for 10 more yards. It's like whose story do we find more interesting? And Mahomes returning to that exciting style, I think we would find incredibly interesting. I think Burrow is a great contender also, given that he's the one guy of that group that hasn't won an MVP yet.
And when he plays, he's as good as anyone, but that's the caveat is when he plays. They have the easiest schedule in the NFL. He's throwing to Chase and Higgins. The defense might be improved. Like there's a case that
defense being improved is a big deal because the other year when he had a chance, when he probably could have won it, they weren't good enough because quarterback wins is the biggest stat that probably impacts this particular award.
It was the two blown games against the Ravens in 2024 shifted the MVP narrative considerably, because that was the debate of Lamar has had 1 million touchdowns and no interceptions, but Josh Allen was so good he generated this amount of touchdowns, blah, blah, blah. Well, quietly that year, Burrow threw for 4,900 yards, 43 touchdowns, and 9 picks, and that's with those 2 games and completed over 70% of his passes. And that was with the 2 crazy games they blew to the Ravens, where they didn't make the playoffs. They haven't made it since 2022, and like maybe if they had won those games, the whole award stuff seems different. I think Burrow is like the logical pick. I wanted to pick that too, partially because like beyond all of that, I just think that the narrative, the stuff around him has gotten weird, and it started to turn a little bit. And being a contrarian, like when I see him play football, I think he's as good as those other guys. And I'm including Stafford in that. I think it's kind of a big 5 until Stafford falls off. And as long as he's putting up those numbers in the McVay system, I don't think Stafford will repeat as MVP. I do think that like the Rams are going to be the best team, but the talk of that team is going to be distributed to guys we'll get to later in this show. My pick. Can I give you my first pick?
Sure.
I'm taking Drake May. I think there's a really easy narrative that this team is going to regress because they are not playing the easiest schedule in 38 years. But they have such a significant offensive improvement, obviously with A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs and moving Kayshon Boutte down the depth chart, maybe getting more explosives with Travion Henderson, who should have a role the entire year, not just coming on in the last few weeks of the season. But Drake May is also still a growing player. Like, I don't think 23-year-old Drake May is the fully formed product, and he's getting better. And so for me, you got AJ, you've got Doubs, you've got Henderson, you've got explosives. And that's what Drake May does. He hunts explosives, but he doesn't just hunt and force explosives. He takes his shots better than any quarterback in football currently. He throws to guys who separate in the intermediate and deep part of the field. He's a really good decision maker in that part. So I don't see this massive regression coming from him. And it's like, do I think that they're going to win as many games as last year? I think the easy thing would be like, they might be better and win fewer games. I still think they're going to win the AFC East. I still think they're going to win 12 or 13 games. And to me, it's like, if he throws out the narrative that this team is going to regress, I think he's got a really compelling case.
Yeah, I think I want to start with who's going to be good, right?
Yeah. And I think the Patriots are going to be really good, which is what I came to. That was the team in my prep. I was like, I wanted to not think they were going to be good. And I came away from the season prep being like, this team is way better.
Of the teams who like we project to be the best teams, like the Seahawks, I don't think Sam Darnold is a realistic candidate. Then you got the Texans and CJ Stroud. Again, like he has a possibility.
He's an interesting long shot. He's 50-1.
The problem with the CJ Stroud thing is so much of this stuff is about our like priors. And we've already decided that this is a defensive team, or they've decided it for us. They're a defensive team. I assume if they have a good season, the defense is going to get a lot of credit. And that's going to hurt him in the like MVP conversations. And I think there's a like the same thing could be said for, I guess, Jalen Hurts. They could have a great season. Yeah. And I'm not sure if
he's finished second in MVP before.
Right. I know. Like he's completely capable of having a big number season. And it'd be interesting to see where the credit went in that. I'm sure their defense will be great. I'm sure they'll give like Sean Mannion a lot of credit for shifting of the offense. But he's going to have to get a lot of that credit because he's going to do things that he hasn't done before. And I think that's a really, really long shot, but I think it's a significant possibility because they're going to be good.
Yeah.
I put Jordan Love in the conversation also of a team that he has.
You really think they're going to be that good?
No, I don't think. I think the expectation is not that they're going to be that good.
I think that they've been that 6 or 7 seed area for his entire.
Right. Exactly. I think he's talented enough to win the MVP. So I was just naming the names that like the long shot guys that I wouldn't pick them necessarily, but I think I don't think it's insane. Like if you told me before the season started that Jordan Love won the MVP, like Tucker Kraft and Watson were healthy all year and
Golden broke out. Because the Golden thing is really interesting because when he played, he actually was not bad. It's that he actually played less than any touted receiver like that in like recent memory. They actually just didn't trust him to even be on the field with a group I know Wicks and Dobbs have moved on and Watson came back and was effectively a top 15 receiver for once he was back last year. So I would put him in the number 1 category. But when you looked at that room before with Golden, it was like, oh, this is a group of number 2s. So when you draft Golden in the first round with those physical tools, you're like, look at this rack guy. He's going to be, maybe he's their number 1. Maybe Jaden Reed can fall into like that Turbo Debo role. Watson can be on the outside. And like that didn't happen. It's an interesting thing with Love because I think people are looking at that team being like, It's the same Packers team as every year. And now they have Jonathan Gannon. They need to get Parsons back so that he can rush for, because that's how Gannon's defense is so dependent on that. And they're like, this is the Packers team last year. Those first 3 weeks, people were like, they're the prohibitive Super Bowl favorite. And I feel like that's swung a lot coming into this season.
And I mean, I that's why I end up there is I think their defense is not as good, obviously, without a healthy Parsons. And I think the expectations are lower for that team.
Rashawn Gary's gone too.
Rashawn Gary. In that very difficult division. I think we all believe that Jordan Love is as talented as an MVP quarterback. Like, he has MVP quarterback talent if he can actually have that type of season. And they actually allow him to throw more consistently. They might be asking more of him to be more aggressive. I think it's a possibility. I'm just saying, putting it on the table as something that I could see happening. If they win that division and they're 2 games better than we expected, what are they projected to win?
9.6 games.
Yeah. So if they manage to get 10
by FTN, I think it might be 9.5 in the gambling books. I was going off the FTN projections.
If they get 10 or 11 wins and Jordan Love is putting up numbers, I think he's someone who would get some real serious consideration for MVP.
So it's funny you said Jordan Love. I wrote down people who I wanted to discuss for this, and I wrote down the other 3 quarterbacks in that division.
Really?
But not Jordan Love.
Really?
Because my heart, part of me wanted what I did with Drake May to also put Caleb there.
Yeah.
I don't think their defense is good enough.
Yeah.
And you might say to me, well, we just discussed Joe Burrow.
Right.
Caleb Williams, who doesn't throw interceptions, who extends plays and throws outside of the pocket and makes more spectacular highlights than any quarterback in the NFL, and is going to have the highlight package and hype around it. Why not him? And it's like, as much as I love the Ben Johnson coaching job, I just think that defense, unless there's a massive amount of turnover luck again, might just get them to be a team that doesn't win enough games.
Put the defense aside. Let's say the defense was good enough for them to win the MVP. You're also factoring in a Caleb improvement.
Yeah.
Right?
I think year 2, like that Bears team, it's almost impossible to look at them statistically like anyone else, because they weren't that good for the first 5 weeks of the season until Ben Johnson. And I shouldn't put this all on Caleb, but Caleb obviously improved exponentially as well. Their running game went crazy and everything opened up for them. And I just am a believer in that, psychopath coach and the talent of the quarterback. So he was there, and then Goff, like the Lions' schedule this year, they technically got last in the division.
Yeah,
they tied with them. So they're playing a last place schedule. They're playing this, I think, the 6th easiest schedule in the NFL. And he's still throwing to Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams, Tesla. He's got Gibbs, who's the favorite for offensive player of the year. And that one, like, to me, it's like I wrote that down. Like, he's 35-1. And he's 35-1. And I don't know if you started to pick up on these rumblings, but when people started talking about top 10 quarterbacks, X, Y, and Z, there are more and more people who are like, Goff has played at such a good amount of football at such a high level. He belongs in those conversations. He's not consistently underrated. Like, he's a skyrocketing Dak in the eyes of many.
We're talking...
You're talking about perception.
Okay, yeah. Right. You're saying Goff, though.
Yeah, Goff is a skyrocketing Dak.
Right.
Sorry, for our new listeners who haven't listened to this show, a Dak is someone who could conceivably be overrated or completely underrated based on media perception of them. And it's in a tier of quarterback that's excellent, but below that top tier, like, you got this guy, you're winning 12 games.
It's not, it's not that when you say quarterback, the names you think of, it's not that, it's the next group. But if we're bringing the new listeners up to speed, they should understand that Dak is no longer a Dak.
Dak might be too good to be a Dak now.
The Dak category remains there, but Dak above the Daks.
I mean, until the playoffs start. And then the last one was Kyler, which, like, I put him down being like, KOC's offense, throwing to a Hall of Fame receiver. And I was like, I just don't know if he's actually a good enough quarterback for me to consider him for MVP.
Right. I mean, I think the Kyler one,
he's like such a long shot. It's like 50, more than 50-1. It's like, why not just throw his name down and discuss it?
Yeah.
Like, what would have to happen?
If he puts up big numbers, which he's capable of doing. Like, if you remember, I can't remember which season it was, but like the first half of the season.
Mr. October, baseball guy.
It felt like he had that team on his back and he was in the front runner for MVP. So, like, he has that capability. I don't find that to be as much of a stretch, especially if we believe that Flores can get that defense going and this team plays well. But he might be the front runner for comeback player of the year when we get to that particular category.
I'm excited to get to that one. By the way, that's 2021. That was half a decade ago. It's a long time ago.
I mean, you frame it that way. Half a decade ago makes it seem longer than it actually was. But
no, it's exactly how long it was.
I mean, that's why people say half a decade. That's why you say 250,000, because you want it to sound like more than 250,000. People say half a decade so they can sound like more than 5 years. Like,
it was 5 years ago. Time is a flat circle. Time is nothing but a construct.
You're fancy journalism, man, using his words to trick us.
With any of those, if the long shots we talked about, I didn't include like the Jaden Daniels, Trevor Lawrence class.
Right,
of guys,
that's what I was going to ask.
They're like around 20-1. They're like top 10 favorites for this.
So you wouldn't consider them long shots?
No, there's medium shots.
Yeah, I mean,
they're
we didn't talk about Herbert. We didn't bring up Trevor or Jaden Daniels. I think those are all guys that I think people can.
Herbert's fifth in the odds.
The Jaden Daniels one is really relying on Sonny Styles in that defense, and also the fact that he lost his left tackle. That hurts him.
His own thing upright. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Herbert's. Yeah, the expectations are high as hell on Herbert with the
Herbert's
new coach.
Got better odds than Drake May.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Trevor Lawrence, it's like once he got comfortable in Cohen's offense, things were much better. And maybe, I mean, that O-line still isn't very good, but maybe he can play that way all season long. And but they have to beat the Texans. You can't lose your division and be the MVP.
Can I give you a thought experiment of one?
Give it to me.
Well, I guess let me lay out a situation. You're on Get Up.
Okay.
Mid-December.
Okay.
The Jaguars are running away with the 1 seed. We're talking about Liam Cohen. We're talking about Trevor Lawrence. But you're doing a segment about like, could a non-quarterback win MVP? And you're like, oh my God, Parker Washington got hurt. Brian Thomas still can't catch.
Oh God.
Jack Travis Hunter has 1,100 yards now in the Liam Cohen system, and he's their number one cornerback. MVP. And you are passionately arguing with Dan Orlovsky, who's talking about the value of the quarterback, and you're saying, "What, Dan? You don't like Shohei Ohtani? you big white stiff? You dope? You dope?" And you're just looking at him with disgust, being like, "Oh, I guess you quarterbacks, you don't even think of yourselves as football players."
You're on one today.
But so I'm saying you see that happening, and you've convinced yourself this is time for a DB to win MVP.
If a DB ever got close, no shame about it. It's like Obama running for president. No questions asked. What? He's a DB? If my man Riley Moss returned a couple punts for touchdown in lockdown opposite Pat Surtain, because that's my true favorite corner. I will stand on the table. I'll jump on that get up table and jump up and down until we get a corner. If there's a cornerback who has a real chance.
By the way, I was totally trolling about this, but I knew you'd get excited.
Oh yeah. I know you were trolling, but the point is, but it just won't happen. It's like a real chance. Champ had those 8 interceptions that one season, and as defensive player of the year, you just can't. You have to do something on the offensive side of the ball. It's just the way.
Was there a narrative around Deion Sanders when it was just the Super Bowl followed him? He won Defensive Player of the Year in San Francisco, and they went to the Cowboys, and they're playing him on offense and defense. Yeah.
I was obviously watching football, but I don't remember the sports talk narrative. It wasn't nearly as much conversation.
It wasn't any of this stuff.
You didn't get, like, you would get a little bit of Sports Center. You get maybe some sports radio. It wasn't Instagram, so you didn't burn, or there wasn't Twitter. You didn't burn through the conversation so fast that you had to get to the ancillary ridiculous stuff. But I would argue for if Travis Hunter breaks the G and plays corner well, I'll make that argument sincerely.
I will sincerely hope that he can play one side of the ball well this year. We're not being trolled. Like,
move it on.
No, I made this really not fun, but like seriously on that, like before we get to it, because it sounds ridiculous.
We were having fun. And
I know,
but you had to bring up the fact that he's got hurt and wasn't all that good.
I'm just saying, but he has all the talent. Like, I would be, for someone who thought that Travis Hunter is one of the best athletes I've ever seen play college football. Mm-hmm. I think I would be so disappointed if he doesn't even figure it out on one side of the ball in the NFL to be really successful. And like, he has all of those tools. So like, I hope so. I really hope so.
He looked really good and comfortable at
in
corner.
certain part. And also, like, he had a couple catches where he like really mossed people and stuff like that. It's just as much as I wanted to like make you eat the trash there, and it worked exactly the way I wanted it to. I have to say, like, it's preposterous. Let's go to Defensive Player of the Year next.
Okay. So we got last year was Myles Garrett, and like I mentioned already, it's like it's an edge rushers award. Who gets the most sacks? So like Will Anderson is the first person that comes to mind for that Houston Texans defense, and it's a defense that I think a lot of us want to reward, and feels like they deserve to be recognized. So if Will Anderson puts up big sack numbers, leads the league in sacks, which is really kind of what it often comes down to. Patrick Surtain won a few years ago, and Trey Hendrickson had 17 and a half sacks and didn't get it because they were 6-11. And so you got to be on a good team or break the sack record, because Myles Garrett was on a bad team last year and broke the all-time sack record. So, yeah, I mean, I was looking at Will Anderson. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson, again, as a team, if the Lions, their kind of question mark is around their defense. If Aiden Hutchinson gets a ton of sacks and that defense turns out to be good and they win that very tough division, then I think...
Is that the biggest crapshoot division, by the way?
Yeah,
like, it's impossible because all the teams have like a very distinct Achilles heel.
Yeah, and they all are very good, or they all feel like they're very good, but not quite pulling away from each other. So you could see either any of those teams figuring out a way to compensate for their Achilles heel and being very good. I couldn't leave this category without giving some love to some DBs. So,
I have a DB too.
Oh, let me hear it. Who's your DB? Quinyon?
No.
He doesn't get interceptions, so.
Yeah. Well, let me hear yours first because I don't want to step on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's Christian Gonzalez doesn't get a lot of interceptions, but he has great ball skills. He'll be on a good team. And potentially, because he has great ball skills, he hasn't had a lot of interceptions yet. He could get a bunch. Surtain, again, that team is going to be really good. He could lock people down. He's won it again in the past. He could do it. I also put J.C. Horn because
big corner.
He's a big corner who has incredible ball skills and does actually accumulate more interceptions than you would think. If this team turns out to be good and J.C. Horn has 6, 7, 8 interceptions, which is completely possible, it's a name that popped up because of his ability to turn the ball over. And yeah, I mean, Kyle Hamilton's a safety that's like just
Kyle Hamilton's
so damn good.
On my list.
Derwin James, another one's really good that could create big numbers, but it's just so unlikely because we just kind of count the stats and you're going to get a lot of sacks, and these guys aren't going to get a ton of interceptions.
Yeah, so I put Kyle Hamilton as my long shot. I don't think it's going to happen. My reasoning is I think the Ravens, like, we've talked a lot about will Lamar get back into form, blah, blah, blah. I think the bigger story is that they're going to have a top 10 defense this year with Jesse Minter. The defense might be really, really good. And you look at the way that they win that division and that they're back to like being a Ravens team. I think it starts with that defense. And Derwin James went from very good player to someone potentially on a Hall of Fame trajectory with Jesse Minter. And Kyle Hamilton's just better. He's better. He's more versatile. He might not be as explosive an athlete, but he can do more things. He can play in more different spots. And so I looked at that and I was like, is this someone who could win Defensive Player of the Year, being that it's going to be this massive defensive turnaround? There's going to be a story about it. And then I realized that Derwin James never received a Defensive Player of the Year vote, a single vote. And so it's like, how exceptional does Kyle Hamilton need to be to break that from the safety position? In his case, it's sort of like the thing in basketball, like someone who gets a 5x5, where you just do a bunch of different things and it's like you've ticked every single box, because he's not going to have, I mean, maybe you could get really lucky. It could be, he's not going to have like 7 interceptions and 7 sacks, but if he could have a handful of sacks, a handful, like more TFLs than any defensive back in the NFL, plus pressures, plus playing as a box safety, plus guarding the best guy as a big nickel. That's what I think the case is. That
year when they moved him, or I guess it was last year.
It's every year.
Last year.
And the year before.
It was the year before
they
when
moved
it
him
actually,
close to
when it actually worked. Last year, it improved, but it didn't work to the same degree. But I'm saying that's when, like, we should have a separate award show that's not reliant so much on counting stats, where it's like, you know who actually was the most impressive defensive player? The that we moved all around and fixed the defense every time we moved him.
You know, the Kyle Hamilton thing is why I think football is less complicated than you guys make it seem like. Because 2 years ago, it was like, how are we going to fix our defense? We're going to move Kyle Hamilton closer to the ball. And then last year, I was like, they're gashing us deep in the middle. What are we going to do? We're going to move Kyle Hamilton further away from the ball. I couldn't have thought. I couldn't have thought of that. I couldn't have been like, I gotta know about palms coverage and matched corners. I couldn't.
I'm not gonna fall for that trash. I fell for the other trash. This is not trash I can bite on. It's so insanely stupid. I refuse to accept it.
It's the most Occam's razor way to fix a defense possible. We're getting gashed there. Put Kyle over there. We'll stop being gashed in that spot.
Yeah, that works. But sometimes the spot that you took it from becomes a problem. But this is one of those things where it looks simple from a distance. Then you get close and it's really complicated. Then you get through it and then you're like, oh, it's simple again. It's fine. But I mean, once you have everything else taken care of, just move Kyle there is a solution that works.
So my actual pick, though.
Okay.
And now you didn't give your actual pick either.
I know. I didn't know on the first one either. I just was talking about guys.
Oh, you didn't give an MVP pick? Who was your MVP pick? I ruined this. This is the Domonique Foxworth show.
No, I mean, I chose not to give one. I just was going through names. Let me see. I didn't pick one.
You got to pick one. I picked Drake May.
All right, you go answer this one. I'll pick one while you're thinking.
So my actual defensive player of the year, after we talked about those, I am going chalk. I'm going Myles Garrett. And I think that we're going to have a discussion midway through the season if he's going to break his own sack record.
Yeah.
And like we've never seen him play on a team that's consistently holding a lead. Maybe this will get muddied by Aaron Donald coming back. And we're like, oh my God, Aaron Donald's still the best 3 technique in the NFL. Like, look at him and Myles Garrett and BY and Fisk and all these dudes and Poona Ford and Kobe Turner and this defensive line that's so versatile. But Defensive Player of the Year awards come in bunches. When you look at the historic defenders that have been part of this generation of football, I mean, it's this and the past generation of football. Myles Garrett's won two in the last 3 years of Defensive Player of the Year. Before that, Aaron Donald won 3 and 4 years. And before that, J.J. Watt won 3 and 4 years. So the precedent isn't that they're going to get sick of him. The precedent isn't going to be like, we don't think he's going to be the guy. Like, pass rushing doesn't just fall off a cliff in a way. Like J.J. Watts fell off a cliff because of injuries, but he was even a good player on a per snap basis up until the day he retired. And to me, it's a skill that's like, it's technical, but it's so strength based. And we've talked about this, like strength ages better than speed, which is why some of these things go. And he's huge and powerful and playing in a better situation for this with like a bunch of like really unique and special guys. And like, he's someone who I would be very surprised if he had like a sub 15 sack season, to be honest, which is an insanely high number.
The only thing is if they are as good as you expect them to be, he's someone who's had no playoff moments of note, who is in the latter portion of his career. There's a chance that with the talent that they have on their defensive line and the fact that he has 2 Defensive Player of the Year's awards, that what his focus is going to be on if they have big leads and their D-line has enough talent to survive without him getting a ton of sacks. Like, that's his focus may not be on accumulating big sack numbers in the way that he has in the past. It might just happen because he's awesome, which
he's just hunting because they're up by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, but last year that was a goal. Like, they were like, we ain't doing else. We're going to try to find a way to get you to break this sack record and put you in all the opportunities we can possibly do. I'm sure the Rams are going to have situations that are set up for him to get sacks, but it's going to be less of a focus. And I think to get 20 plus sacks, he could get 12 sacks just rolling out of bed probably. So that could make him Defensive Player of the Year. But it's a little random to go from 12 to like 15 is like a little bit of luck.
And last year he had the 5 sack game. He had a 3 sack game.
Oof.
You know, he was so preposterous last year, which is like he had 33 TFLs last year, which is the second most in NFL history. And like that, they had a game last year. He did this in 16 games. Like, say what you want. Like, he did the thing where they played the Steelers. And Aaron Rodgers was like, we'll actually throw the game to you. We'll let the Browns win this game, to the point that we're not letting you get a sack in week 17.
The opposite of Brett Favre, right?
Yeah.
The reverse Favre.
And like, so like, I don't know. To me, it's like, I know that's the chalk pick, but I was going with my heart, and I actually just think he is at a spot in his career where this is, one of the best defensive players of all time, now put in a really special situation.
Yeah, I think that's probably the safer pick. I'm going to stick with Will Anderson, though, just because I think that we all want that defense to get some recognition, and he is kind of the face of that defense. When he was drafted with that second first-round pick, and we all were like, what are you doing? And then the defense, he made us all look wrong.
You redo that draft, he goes 1-1 every single time. Every single time.
Oh, man, poor CJ.
People were talking about how and I mean over Bryce Young too. Yeah, people were talking about how he wasn't polished. That was one of his draft things. Like, he is still a really young pass rusher, and he is such a polished guy. Crazy how wrong the eval was there.
Guess what? He's good.
He's incredible.
Which one do you want to have?
I still need your MVP.
All right, my MVP. I don't want to be boring, and the problem is there's a gap between the guys who could realistically who could realistically win it, and then the guys who'd be fun to talk about. It's like, I don't know. I'll go Justin Herbert. We'll go Justin Herbert. I don't believe that. I'll go See, that's the problem is I don't actually think he's going to win it.
Just say what's in your heart.
I had to put some money on this. Burrow might get hurt. I think I'd go Burrow.
Okay, yeah, that's totally
I think
reasonable.
if I had to bet, I'd go Burrow. If I wanted to be interesting and fun, which is my normal motivation, I would go Herbert.
I think those are both completely reasonable. Let's go Offensive Player of the Year.
Okay, a receiver award.
This is such a fun award because it's like the closest. It's the fantasy football award. Whoever usually has the best fantasy season wins this award. It's the easiest one to get. To get for us as the listeners and viewer of football.
I think I got
the shortest odds here are Gibbs and Bijan. Those are the two favorites,
which are running backs. And I put Travis Etienne in there also as a running back. Oh, that's right. Forgot. My bad. He's an HN now.
It's so ridiculous. I'll never get the pronunciation wrong. Which is so funny. It's I couldn't get Bijan for a while. I finally got to Bijan, and then last year at Falcons camp, I asked him what the pronunciation before an interview, and he's like, the whole Bijan thing. He's like, I always thought it was Bijan. My mom told me recently it was Bijan, and so I went to the media with that.
So he obviously doesn't care.
No, he couldn't have cared less.
But Travis HN does care.
He does care.
And that would be my long shot, surprise you. New Orleans has a good season. They went and signed him. They obviously have plans for him. Kamara's older and hurt right now, so he could get a lot of this offensive load. That's a long shot that probably is not going to hit. Gibbs, I think, is a reasonable one. He's going to be a big part of that offense. And, of course, Bijan, the problem with Bijan is the quarterback situation that feels so unstable. They're not going to be good enough for...
Can you believe we already got that meme? Of Penix pointing it to his jersey, being like, this guy.
Yeah, I whenever I see new memes born, I think of you because you don't love nothing more than the birth of a meme.
I know. It's only like Michael Penix, dude. You've had 5 season-ending injuries. You're pointing at this guy, being you. Come on.
Yeah, the receivers, because I think that's probably more than likely where the award's going to go. JSN, of course, won it last year. I was looking at guys who get a large target share, and you get Amon-Ra, but he doesn't have enough explosive plays necessarily, because he does create explosive plays, but that offense, you spread the credit around a bunch, and
all so good.
Yeah, I don't think that. We don't really think about a slot receiver as a true number one in that way. Puka is, I think, a really smart choice as someone who's going to be effective in that offense, always is, can do everything. And he's someone who you can make even if he doesn't have the numbers, you can make the argument for his impact on the offense.
In your heart of hearts, who do you think is the best receiver? Because this is a great crop. I don't know if this crop is necessarily, I think it's maybe a hair below when we had Randy and T.O. and Marvin Harrison. But this group is really special.
Yeah, it's between Chase and Jefferson, I think. I really like JSN. The short area quickness, I was surprised by how effective he was and the big playability, but he's got to do it a few more times to be up in their class. I think it'd be between one of them. And Puka's...
I saw from Puka at the end of last year. Every big play, even that Seattle game,
200 plus in that game, right?
The explosives and the plays he makes in big situations. Part of me at the end of last year was holy shit, is Puka is he the best receiver in the world right now? Which that had not crossed my mind until towards the end of last season. And I've done this this exercise in my head, and I've come to a different conclusion over and over again. I had recency bias and knocked Jefferson out of that in my head, even though he's perfect.
It's perfect.
He's perfect.
Did you see that clip of all of them running routes?
Yes.
Yeah. It's
Jordan Addison was
yeah. And they were it was a progression. Oh, nice route. Who's that?
Yeah.
Jumped off the screen. But yeah, so AJ Brown is a possibility. He's late in his career. I put up there as a possibility. Someone that whenever you switch teams and you're filling an important void, they're going to go after you. I think it's unlikely. I put Nico Collins in there also as someone who this team will be very good. And if Nico has the capability, I think he's one of the, I feel silly using the word underrated, but I do think Nico Collins can be as impactful as that top tier receivers that we talk about, but we never really include his name in the conversation. You wouldn't have brought up Nico if I was saying who's the best receiver in football. I think he has the ability to be as good as any of those guys, but
he's different.
Not as good. I think he has the ability to put up numbers like those guys. And if that team's really good and the offense clicks, in part because Nico's breaking the defense over his knee with big plays, I think he's someone who could put up big numbers.
Yeah, he's an awesome player.
You might be, I didn't throw this out there, but this is going to be hard to justify, but I really love Garrett Wilson as a receiver.
It's not going to happen this year.
Oh, yeah, no, not offensive player of the year. I was just going back to the question about, like, who's the top receiver. It's like, I remember when Steph Diggs was in Minnesota and I was telling people, like, I think he's the best receiver in football. Then he finally got around a quarterback and was like, oh, my gosh, he's one of the best. I see the same thing out of Garrett Wilson where it's like the way he moves is just so special and he doesn't get enough consistent good quarterback play. But I don't think he wins this category, but I was just going through my head. I didn't want to say only the, like, traditional names that we always say, but I think Garrett Wilson's someone who we don't talk about much, but is...
Yeah, he's a special athlete. I mean, him, honestly, that's the world of, like, Olave, too, with both of them, where, like, when I was looking at this, I'm not picking Chris Olave, for the record, but it's, like, a world where he stays healthy, and he's in Kellen Moore's system, and Tyler Shuck is really good because he was the best rookie quarterback last year when he played, and you look up, and it's like, oh, is this a year where Olave puts it together, and he gets, like, 1,500 yards? And you're waiting for that from him and Garrett Wilson, too, the former college teammates. So I looked at this one, and I thought, wow, Bijan and Gibbs, like those guys they're 24 years old, which is crazy too.
Yeah.
Like they are young.
Right.
And a lot of the hype is around Gibbs in that offense, and Bijan had 2,300 all-purpose yards last year.
I looked it up. He led the league in scrimmage yards last year.
And he's got the Kyrie thing.
Yeah. It jumps off the screen.
Well, and also the other players view it that way. Like you ask Saquon Barkley, who's the best running back in the NFL, and he's been saying for the last 2 years, it's Bijan Robinson. And he's like, the cuts are ridiculous. The way he plays are special.
Well, he said he was the best. I thought he pulled an Orlovsky where rather than saying someone's the best, he breaks them out into categories. That's like Bijan's the best cutter.
Yeah.
You like how Dan did that? He ducked criticism by saying strongest arm, most accurate pocket presence. He still got criticized though.
Anyway, so my offensive player of the year, the guy I'm going to pick for this, after all of that, is I'm going to pick Chase. And I'm going chalk on another one. He's not the favorite.
Yeah.
He's in that next tier. But I'm drafting off your Burrow MVP pick, which is just that this guy, in my heart of hearts, while I found it really hard to parse, I think on a year-to-year basis of who I think the best receiver will actually be is Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
I think he, in certain ways, plays like a more powerful Antonio Brown, like bigger, more powerful Antonio Brown, which is crazy. And like that's a different connotation now, but that's one of the best receivers I've ever seen where he can snap off routes to get open in short spaces. He's an incredible rack guy. He's incredible as next. He's incredible over the middle. And if Burrow's healthy and that defense is improved and they're winning a bunch of games, like Jamar Chase, I know that he last year did less with the targets that he got, but he still got a ton of targets. And it's like, that was the down year. He had 1,400 yards. Well, the year before when Burrow was healthy, it was 127 catches, 1,700 yards, 17 touchdowns. He's in his absolute prime. He's 26 years old. And I see a world where that Bengals offense is really special. And this is someone who is a 1,000-yard receiver every single year of his career. And it's 1,700, 1,800 yards this year, with a bunch of touchdowns and a bunch of loud plays. Because you've seen what he's done to your beloved Baltimore Ravens in every single big matchup, where it's not just that he's scoring a bunch of touchdowns and going for 200 yards. They're like from 45, from 55, from 60. Oh, the Ravens came back. I'm busting off another one. So like he's capable of the holy red zone game too.
I was looking up receivers a couple of days ago. I don't remember why I was looking up, but I was stunned by I was looking up like the workout combine pro day type numbers for receivers, and I was stunned by how well he moved. Jamar Chase, like not only the 4.3 that he ran, but his 20-yard shuttle was like sub 4. Mm-hmm. And like I don't think of Jamar Chase as like this like shifty guy, but like that's normally that 20-yard shuttle is a measure of like your short area quickness, which is something that I value a ton for any like skill position player. For him to because I think of him as like more like a running back / receiver type guy, but not more closer to like Debo Anquan Bolden but can fly, right? But it's actually like, no, he's kind of does everything. Like
kind of like a really bulky Antonio Brown.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right. Which I just did. I don't, because then I think of the plays that he makes. It's not like, it doesn't show up like Antonio Brown in my head. But you're exactly right. You nailed it.
Thank you. So who's your pick?
I don't get away with not picking.
Yeah, you got to pick. We're doing an award show. You can't not pick the awards.
I'm gonna go with. I think I might just be a big Texans guy. Nico Collins.
Okay.
Nico
Collins. I love it.
Ted McMillan.
Sure. That's an awesome football player.
I know. It's just that team's not going to be good enough, but I like Ted.
I like that receiver combo, him and Jalen Coker.
Yeah, I like them a lot. I think Ted McMillan has the ability to do it. I just don't think that situation is going to allow him to do it.
He was incredible. He's one of those things of like, look, I know Bryce was way better last year than in certain stretches, and particularly when they went down by 2 scores, but he breaks the one of your rules about the situation mattering more than anything with the young player. And like, that was messy last year.
It was.
And
he came
was
and
awesome.
talked about how he don't like to watch film and just gave everybody the blues. He was awesome. Yeah. I like him a lot, but I don't think he's going to be able to put up the numbers. And I guess my Nico Collins thing with the news of Higgins ACL, that gets a little tougher. So maybe Tank Dell will be back and healthy to take some of the pressure off of Nico Collins. But it gets a lot harder when you don't have that someone else to threaten on the other side of the field.
What about Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Offensive Rookie of the Year. So this award feels like it's impossible to pick because everybody's hurt. Like, it wasn't even a great offensive draft, but like Jordan Tyson's hurt. I guess Carnell Tate's healthy. Jordan Tyson's hurt. Sadiq.
2.5 months is the predicted timeline for Jordan Tyson with a hamstring, which is he's had 3 hamstring injuries, I think, in the last 18 months since the ACL thing. And it's clear that there's something like actually chronic and wrong with this right now. Not that it can't be fixed, but right now seems like the same recurring problem.
Yeah. Tyson's hurt. Sadiq is hurt.
Jeremiah Love is a high ankle sprain.
Jeremiah Love is hurt. I mean, I don't know that I would have chosen Lemon anyway because that team has a lot of other receivers, but he's been banged up. Casey Concepcion is healthy, but the quarterback situation there is not going to get him the ball. Like
doesn't get tackled by cornerbacks.
Yeah, that's right. We had to respond to that one. It's like, yeah, okay. Go tell it to Devin Witherspoon was my response. And see what happens. He tackles better than most linebackers. So I ended up with like Darian Price, but he's not even like going to take the full rushing.
Both beginning.
Yeah, but I mean, I doubt that he gets it.
George Helani, and then he's returning kicks also.
Up in Seattle. Carnell Tate, like, I don't think that it's going to work out there to like big numbers. So I think I ended up going full circle and coming all the way back to the number 1 overall pick is like Mendoza. I'm not buying this nonsense about slowly putting him in the game. I think he's going to be in earlier in the season than any of us are being told right now. And if he has a decent season, the number 1 overall pick, who's a quarterback, has a leg up to be the offensive Rookie of the Year.
I think Mendoza thing is really interesting. So Jeremiah Love, he started getting a preseason hype. I know people were like putting up like the way that he runs in the uniform, looking like people are dropping the Adrian Peterson comparison.
I heard it.
Yeah,
I didn't like it.
I think the high ankle sprain is like really devastating for his rookie year. Potentially good for his future career of this team, him not getting as much of a workload this year on this Cardinals team that's not close, which is like why taking him in the top 5 became so controversial in the nerd community anyway, and the football community. This was one that everyone thought was controversial. When it comes to Mendoza, I think he's actually good. Like we've talked about this.
Yeah.
I think there's a world where he really does sit for a while. And for a while, I mean, it's not a Baker situation where he's in a week 3. And I wonder how many games he misses before he's sort of just qualified for the awards. Because obviously, I think he's going to play this year at some point.
Yeah, that's the difference. I think he's going to get in. If he goes too late, then if he doesn't get in too late, then he won't get it.
The reason is like, I guess it depends. Like Brady's comments about quarterback play have been so strong for the last couple of years about not wanting to dumb down the position for Mendoza and him having to learn and him having to earn the job and him being like, he will not play until he's better than Kirk Cousins. He might be better than Kirk Cousins now, and we don't know that. But Brady is, what should I say this? Because he's displayed aspects of someone with a bit of a God complex. And so he's looking at his own path, what he earned, the value of sitting for him. And I think he's applying it to his guy at quarterback. And I think that for most teams, I wouldn't believe it at all. But if you told me that Mendoza didn't play until like week 12 because he said he's putting it on the organization to be like, you have to win this job, that also wouldn't shock me.
I get it. But I think it's easy to say now, and it's tougher to say when the season starts. And so that's the thing is like, Tom Brady's never been through this before. And so
on this side of it.
Right. He's never been through this before where you have a young number 1 overall quarterback and you have a team that is potentially struggling at that spot. Maybe because he's not in the locker room every day or in the building every day. Maybe it's easier and maybe he is the ultimate decision maker. But it's really hard when people are on that team and people watching this team and they're watching the team be held back by someone while they have a 6'5", 230-pound guy with a laser rocket arm on the sideline.
Good athlete, too, can move.
Yeah,
really good athlete.
I think it's going to be really hard. Unless Kirk Cousins is playing well, I think it's going to be really hard to keep him out. If they lose a few games in a row and Kirk Cousins has 2 or 3 interceptions in a game, it's going to be so tough. And maybe they can do it. But I think it's going to be so tough. But I mean, obviously, I think that's the case because I think Mendoza's going to win the award. He's my choice for it. I mean, you could who else is? I mean, you go to the second round, like Stribling is going to get.
Here's my pick.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
I know that Kyle Shanahan,
that guy,
he didn't play Parasol as much his rookie year as people wanted when he was a hot sleeper. Same with Brandon Ayuk until the end of his rookie year when he started to come on. They have to play Stribling.
Yeah, I'm sorry for laughing, but they don't have a choice. Like everybody's hurt or experiencing tightness.
Hurt or experiencing the Christian McCaffrey tightness, which I think like Christian, like you had like 500 touches last year. You can be tight until week 1. It's fine. But no, these are real injuries. Like Parasol's out for the year. Mike Evans is already banged up. This is someone who has to play. Kittle is probably. I mean, do you think Kittle's going to play week 1 in Australia? No. I can't imagine he would, even if he's going to be back for week 2. And with Stribling, it's someone the reports have been great out of camp. They've talked about how some people have said that he was the number 1 receiver on their board. And Kyle Shanahan is capable of creating offense. And when Brock Purdy's in there, he's going to get the ball to the receivers down the field and create explosive plays. And like the dude's just been good year after year with that. So he was my pick. And I just gave away my actual pick first. The other two that I looked at, because I do think this award's really tough to pick this year, was Antonio Williams in Washington, where I know he's going to be the third receiver, but I think he could play very well in the slot for an offense that could be rejuvenated. And if we're talking about this being a Ben Johnson offense, that's David Blau's an acolyte of that, where he's made it really clear I'm from the Ben Johnson tree more than I'm from the Cliff Kingsbury tree. I know Diggs will play a lot in the slot also, but somewhere in that type of Amon-Ra type role for Antonio Williams, who is someone who was probably more talented in this third round actual draft slot. And then the third one was just Jonah Coleman out of Denver, the running back. Where
that's fair.
RJ Harvey didn't do what we thought he was going to do last year, and J.K. Dobbins is already hurt. It's a bummer, but he is already hurt. And like, there's a world where Jonah Coleman just ends up eating up a lot of that work on a team that's one of the best teams in the NFL.
I was going to throw Jacoby Lane's name in there because
totally, it's very possible.
Yeah, they don't throw the ball enough, and they throw it only to Zay Flowers almost exclusively. And like they got Mark Andrews. Like I think Jacoby Lane, from what I understand, what I've heard is he is going to be their third receiver. Mm-hmm. And like I think early on we thought once the season started he would slide down the depth chart, but as of now they're practicing him in 3 receiver sets, so they may not run a lot of 3 receiver sets, but he's practicing in some of the 2 receiver sets also, so he's going to get reps. I don't know, he's going to get enough balls. Like you're going to need injury or something for him to get the kind of target share I think it will require to get this award, especially when there are other guys out there who I think are going to have offenses designed to get them the ball, especially like San Francisco. It's going to be Christian McCaffrey, and then Stribling, I would assume, is the next target until people get healthy.
Yeah, Mike Evans should be good to go. Mike Evans, but should be good to go. But yeah, defensive rookie of the year. You
already know I'm going to choose.
We're both picking Bane.
Oh, yeah. I could go with Caleb. I could go. No, I'm picking Bane, but I could go Caleb Downs, too. Like, the Caleb Downs argument could be made. It's hard for his safeties because the numbers aren't that big, but I think that the story's already been set up. If this defense improves and he makes some big plays on primetime games, which the Cowboys, I assume, I haven't looked, going to have a good number of those standalone games. He makes some plays in those situations, and this defense gets better, and the Cowboys are competitive. we're going to look to reward that defense in some way. And there's nobody over that is going to get Defensive Player of the Year. I think he could get that. But, I mean, I like Ruben Bain. I liked him before the draft. I liked him in college. It sounds like all the reports out of there is he is as good as we had hoped. And, again, it's one of those positions that racks up stats. The type of stats that will get you this award, I think it's probably Ruben Bain's to lose.
I agree completely. Plus, you just like the camp reports about him, or just in the videos we've seen of him pulverizing offensive tackles, whether it's Luke Gedeke or the guys on or Armand Membu.
Jets, they got two good tackles, the Jets, and he gave them Membu and Fashanu.
And he's going to practice against Tristan Wirfs. Huge advantage. Crazy that Tristan Wirfs was first team All-Pro as a right tackle and left tackle. The only guy who's ever done that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Are we doing the Protector of the Year award too?
And I didn't. I left that one out. Can we just give it to Wirfs?
That's what I was going to do. I have it written down on my sheet. Wirfs. I was like, it's going to be Wirfs, Mailata, maybe. I don't know. Somebody good. Bowles. They had a good line there. So the only thing I wanted to be clear is don't get to no guards. What are we doing giving the award to guards?
This was Quentin Nelson.
I don't care. Don't give it to no guards. Give it to tackles. The cornerbacks of offense.
I saw that
tackles.
Creed Humphreys was had the third shortest odds. Center. You're not.
Man, I guess maybe you can. The center has protection calling responsibilities. Maybe don't you think that's insane that you could give Protector of the Year to a guard? We all know what guards are. The guys who couldn't play tackle. Mansour Delane, no love for Peter Woods. Mansour Delane out in Kansas City.
No
chance.
I think it's gonna be. I put Bain and then down to my second one.
Me
for
too.
the guards thing. I just don't like there to be rules. It can't be a guard. Larry Allen should have won that award.
I was just joking about it can't be a guard. It's just like Joe Tooney.
When Larry Allen ran all the way down the field.
Yeah. Larry, I was joking about that. Of course it could be a guard. Joe Tooney won it last year, and it just I don't know. It's like my argument for how when teams do well, they want to give their team some award. It feels like, and I'm not going to pretend like break down line play all the time, but I do recognize that playing tackle is a lot more difficult and a lot more
skill set.
It's a lot more valuable to a team to have a great tackle than it is to have a guard. I know they ran the ball really well, and I'm sure Joe Tooney was a big part of that. But
let's do Comeback Player of the Year, because this to me I think this is the most stacked category. Can I read you some of the top?
Yeah,
people?
It's a stacked category, and while all these other awards have become so clearly defined that it's almost like you could pick the position, this one has no real definition. It's just
they've tried to get out the you're coming back from sucking. They've been you have to actually have coming back from something.
They released a press release or something? I missed that.
No, it's just been that's been I feel like NFL PR has been trying to bully people in that over the last couple of years.
This award died to me when they didn't give it to the man who died on the field.
Flacco earned that one. So here are the options. Aaron Donald is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Mahomes. By the way, Aaron Donald's not on a team yet, but he still is in the top 5 shortest odds. Jaden Daniels, Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes. Joe Burrow could be a 3-time winner.
I saw that.
Third time comeback. Or even Brock Bowers. Now, and that one I think is really interesting because more likely win Offensive Player of the Year or Comeback Player of the Year for Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
And there are more, but this category is stacked. These guys are all guys.
Comeback Player of the Year. When the last time a tight end won Offensive Player of the Year? Or I guess he could go. Oh, never. Wow.
Never. But it's he's in the.
He could get his Gronk on.
He's also just people have said this ad nauseum. The football nerds being when Kubiak likes to have a massive target share to his number one option, what if he has the JSN type role? Which I think it's it's too simplistic even for me. It's just he's going to be JSN. When you hear those, what's the one that sticks out to you?
Aaron Donald, jumps off the page to me as a guy who, if he has the impact, he's the Comeback Player of the Year.
So,
Kyler Murray, I think, you're saying you can't just be a comeback from suck guy.
No, but he technically had the foot sprain.
Gotcha.
His little tootsie
gotcha.
Is what technically shut him down. But Mahomes is obvious too.
Jaden Daniels would be great.
Mahomes is obvious too. I think Mahomes is too good for this award.
Yeah.
I think it's you're one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. This feels ridiculous. You actually only missed a couple games, even though he tore his ACL.
Yeah,
It's
right.
This is at the end of the season.
He came back fast, I guess.
And Donald, obviously, you could make the same argument. He's too good, but it's not. He missed 4 years of football. If he comes back and is the best 3 tech in the NFL, he's going to win the award.
I feel like Joe Burrow probably doesn't want another one.
Burrow winning a third one would be the funniest in the world.
I know, but I
want him to win it.
I assume that Joe Burrow doesn't want it. My guess is like, nah, please leave me alone. I don't want this.
Joe Burrow just has like his 3 Comeback Player of the Year awards in the front seat of his Batmobile.
What does the Comeback Player of the Year award look like?
I don't know.
I need to see. Is it just the same as like all the other trophies? College trophies are better when there's like a
big brass, polished like brass trophy.
Yeah, and it's like a person.
Oh, it looks like a little glass thing with a gold NFL crest on it.
Dude.
At Joe Burrow, I see him winning it last year. He does not look happy to have won it. Like literally, like look at this. This is the screen grab of it. Dude looks miserable to have won the award.
He looks great though. So cool. Remember that party when he showed up and then Jamar Chase came, then Justin Jefferson came and outcooled him?
Yeah. But Joe both look very, very cool.
Very cool.
Last award. Coach of the year. Yeah.
This is like first year coach, team does better than we expect, right? Mm-hmm. Clint Kubiak.
I want Kellen Moore. Second year coach, but they could win that division. He had the program rowing in the right direction.
Kellen Moore's a good one.
I do really want to know what Vrabel would have to do to win.
Okay. You can't tell me that you throw trash out there for me to jump on it and think I'm going to jump on it all episode. I jumped on one, not jumping on this one.
Okay, so we can recap. Domonique thinks Vrabel's winning Coach of the Year. Yep. Travis Hunter is his 2A MVP.
Nice.
And that's all the awards he gave.
Yep, and tackles for the Protector of the Year.
And he thinks Larry Allen sucked.
Oh, man. Larry Allen was great, man. But tackles are better than
You see that video of him benching 600 pounds where Raheem Ishmael jumps over him at the end while the bar is not racked yet?
Yes. Athletes are crazy sometimes, and you got to complain about the depth of the bench press. So like, now you're okay with it?
Yeah, it didn't bother me.
No credit for a big, or you don't take credit away for big chest guy?
No, I understand the physics of it. I understand that like it's harder if you have 37-inch arms.
No, I just it seemed like something that you would ding him for. That's all.
No
dinging Larry Allen.
When you're benching like 600 plus pounds, there's not like, oh, I'm gonna ding him for his build being optimized to bench that much.
Very powerful, man. All right. Well, anyway, thank you so much, Charlie. This has been fun. Thanks to Brian Madigan, Kevin O'Brien, Ryan Cortez, and Megan McHale. Thanks to everybody for being here, listening, watching, enjoying. A hat for me, F for Foxworth.
That's right.
We out.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.